If you need to terminate a job, then you can run the qdel command followed by one or more job ID numbers. So that's typically how you terminate a job. If you need to terminate a lot of jobs, if you've got 100 jobs running and you need to stop all of them, then you can use the qselect command and specify your user ID to get a list of all of your job IDs. You can narrow down that list to just jobs that are running, that are waiting in the queue, or just jobs that are actually running. And you take that output, that list of job ID numbers, and you pipe that to xarg's qdel. What that does is it takes that list of job ID numbers and it executes qdel on each one of the job ID numbers. So this is a concise way to terminate hundreds or thousands of jobs all at once, in case you run into a problem and you need to do that. All right, if you do need to run hundreds or thousands of jobs, then I strongly recommend that you use job arrays. Rather than running qsub and submitting a bunch of these individual job scripts, it's much more efficient if you take advantage of some of the features of our PBS system, one of which is job arrays. This will relieve a lot of load on the scheduling system, because if you bombard the scheduling system with lots of individual qsub commands, it has to work very, very hard to process all of those individual requests. And approaching the use of hundreds or thousands of jobs is much more efficient if you do it in this way. This is just a regular job script, and I've got, for example, a bunch of different input files that I want to process. So the only thing that's unique here is this PBS-J. That's where I specify the number range for my array of jobs. And the optional :1 at the end here is just step size. I'm just stepping by 1. You could step by 2 or 3 or something like that if you wanted to. And then in the command that I use to submit my job, and to actually execute my program rather, I can set up parallel execution, or I can just use serial execution. Either one will work fine, but notice what I'm doing here. I'm specifying my input files using this PBS array index variable. And I'm using the same PBS array index variable on the output files as well. What that means is, for each one of these input files, I'm creating a related output file that's numbered in the same way. And the numbering scheme comes from the job array range that I specify up here. So this is a way to create a large list of discrete output files from a large list of input files. And it can either be a serial or a parallel executable that you're running. In this example, I'm using a parallel executable, but a serial executable would be just fine. There's much more detail about job arrays presented in the PBS User's Guide that I showed earlier.